You know what's better than flowers that die in a couple of days? Matching underwear. I'm serious. MeUndies has fully cracked the code on Valentine's Day gifts with matching sets for couples. They're cute, a little intimate, and unlike roses, you'll actually keep using them. You've already seen us sport them. Yes, I have to trick Nippy into wearing a matching set with me, Avi, but it's good times. Good times over here, people. MeUndies makes matching underwear specifically for couples. Same adorable prints, different cuts for each of you, all made with their signature ultramodal fabric that somehow feels impossibly soft every single time. And this isn't just heart slapped on random underwear. MeUndies designs coordinating prints from the ground up. Their Valentine's collection is literally made for two. People are obsessed for a reason. Over 30 million pairs sold and more than 90,000 five-star reviews. They fit well, they feel amazing, and they actually last. Plus, their first pair promise means that you've got 40 days risk-free. And if it's not love, they'll make it right. Boxer briefs, trunks, bikinis, thongs, cheeky styles. Same print, different fits. Valentine's Day is February 14th, in case you forgot. So order soon. This is the gift that keeps on giving, long after the chocolate's gone. Make this Valentine's Day one to remember with matching underwear from MeUndies. To get exclusive deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/culty and enter promo code culty. That's MeUndies.com/culty, promo code culty for up to 50% off. Happy Valentine's!
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Welcome back to A Little Bit Culty, everyone. Sarah wanted to bring the banter back in. She's like, no, you can't talk about the banter while you're doing the banter. And I was like, she's like, you got to be like, who's our guest today? And I was like, all right, fine. Who's our guest today, Sarah?
Well, Nippy, I'm so glad you asked. Today's guest.
That's great banter.
This is such good banter.
Such good banter.
Hope you're drawn in by this organic banter. Okay.
Who is our guest today, Sarah?
Today's guest is a dear friend. She is a familiar, much-loved voice on the show, Tia Levings, best-selling author, thought leader, an incredible woman who works tirelessly to expose the abuses of Christian fundamentalism and walks alongside survivors of religious trauma.
This is her fourth time on A Little Bit Culty. Her first memoir, you all may remember, A Well-Trained Wife, is a New York Times best-selling account of being recruited into the Quiverful movement, hiding years of violence and control behind a godly facade, and ultimately risking everything to escape with her children and break the cycle of Christian patriarchy.
This time, Tia's back to talk about what comes after escape. Her new book, I Belong to Me, out May 5th, traces the 15-year journey from survival mode to an emotionally regulated, self-aware life built on her own values.
Through personal stories, therapeutic practices, and practical resources, Tia maps out how she left abuse, rebuilt a sense of self after religious indoctrination, and learned to inhabit a body and mind that finally feel like they're hers.
In this episode, we dig into how she reclaimed her voice, what belonging to yourself really looks like in everyday choices, and how her healing work is helping other survivors reclaim not just their past, but their present and future too. Here's part 1 with dear friend Tia Levings. Tia, welcome back to A Little Bit Culty.
Thank you.
What's up, Tia? In the house. Number 3?
Number 3.
Is it
Number
3
4.
or 4?
Number 4, because there was
4.
that pop-in when I came through.
Yeah, that's right. Double live, too.
When you're just like, I'm going to stay for a visit. Why don't we just record this conversation?
Yeah, we recorded, like
You're
unplugged.
definitely the winner.
It would
The
be
winner of a
unplugged.
little bit culty if there was a winner.
Ooh. I'll take that.
Amanda Montel.
Okay, I guess you and Amanda Montel.
And Montel we've had
good
live
company.
twice.
That's great company.
Yes.
You're
Fine.
tied with Montel.
Tied with Montel.
2 live events.
Now, you asked me before we pressed record, so and I said, let's save this for the podcast, but did I like your book? Did I like your book? Oh my God, Tia, I'm going to cry with how much I like this book. I love this book. This book is like, it's so important, A. B, I'm sorry, I'm going to gush for just a minute. As you know, because you read a very rough draft of our book, we also talk about healing in ours, but this is like taking that healing section and expanding it
And writing
into
a book about it.
a whole book about one section in our book. And it's so in depth and it's so personal and it's so practical and it's beautiful and patient and kind and it's so many things. I'm really quite blown away with the amount of research and work and like blood, sweat, and tears, it feels like in this book. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a love letter. And it was a risk. There's not any other book out there like it. It's the book that I wished I'd had because I wanted something really practical and actionable that would tell me what to do. And I didn't know if it would sell with publishers. My editor has been incredibly gracious with word count and length because it's a long book for healing. It's dense. I'm not credentialed. I'm just an average, survivor. So it's like, but it's the last 25% of a well-trained wife, and that's everybody's favorite part. And like you said, it built out your book. It builds out a lot of books. It builds out a lot of stories of like, how do you actually build a sense of self? Well, it's like feet on the ground. It's one day at a time. So what does that look like, to put it out there? And it's vulnerable. And so I haven't had a lot of feedback. So I really cherish what you said. Just not a lot of people have read it yet. It's quick. A Well-Trained Wife just came out in 2024. So we're doing this quickly.
Well, I'm so happy to be one of the people to give you feedback. Before we get into it all, how are you doing? Like, how are you as a person putting it out there? Like, how are you feeling right now? What's this little window feel like?
Yeah. So it's wild. I was realizing yesterday that I worked so hard on it February of 2025 and 2024 also. And so it's weird. I was like, is this like a writing thing? Is the February going to be like, because I'm finding my feet. This whole threshold that I stepped through going on 3 years ago is a life change. I turned 50. My youngest child left the house. I released a bestseller. I've had 4 deals in 3 years, all told. I live in a new city. I have a new partner. So I've been like through this massive life pivot. And I feel like now I am settled and on the backside of it and finding my feet. And like the culmination of so much work is settled into some sort of gravity in my body. And it's a good place. And that's like in contrast to the utter chaos of our world. So I'm really grateful to have a deep sense of self-belonging, my feet grounded in reality, and a sense of center inside of myself, which I think has been the missing thing most of my life.
That's a great place to come from. I can only imagine how grounding that must feel after everything that you've gone through.
It gives me something to go to, because there's plenty of bad days, like when, in a very real sense, everything I ran away from is in our daily headlines. And so I am activated or triggered or scared most days. And then to have a homing system to bring myself back, I belong to me is not theoretical, but it's a step-by-step journey that I took and take every day. So I'm excited to get to share it with people who ask me all the time, but how did you heal? How can I heal? How do I get my life back? Because we can't have our years back, We can't have that time that they stole from us back, but we can take the future, and this is how we do it. So, yeah, it's a labor of love.
Well put.
Certainly. Well, I'm so glad that they decided to take that risk. And what is the word count, by the way? I didn't obviously count it myself.
I think we're like around 120,000.
Okay.
Yeah, which is more than Wife by a little, but it has endnotes, so there's extra pages. And of course, paper's a premium in publishing, and length is a big conversation when it comes to book production. So we cut it and then we added more. So that's how it goes.
Yes.
Yep. I'm going to try to really hard to not derail and talk about our similar process, but focus on your book.
But also, it's really great to have comrades in this journey. Like you get the book.
Yes.
It's separate, right? Like living the thing, writing the thing, creating a book that's actually a product, stepping into marketing. These are all different lanes that we are simultaneously holding. So anybody who gets what it's really like is special.
Do you have I thought of this too late? I have a bunch of,
like
I
to
just
add to the book?
shit,
Oh, yeah. I have a
yes,
list. I have
God.
a file. I'm like, oh my God, I wish
my
I could have put that
God.
in there. There's not another
There's so many
page for
things
it.
that yeah.
Too many things.
Yeah.
Too many things. And I guess that'll be...
That's what you talk about on the pod, I guess.
That's what you talk about on the pod.
Yeah, it's peripheral content.
So you haven't done too many interviews yet?
No, I put my favorites up top, guys.
There we go.
Aw.
There we go.
We
Yeah.
got
There
a
we go.
stripe
Saying
on
all
our
the right
sash.
things. Saying all the right things, too. I love it.
So we're going to focus this first part on the book itself and the writing of it and why you chose what you chose and sort of your journey. And we will remind listeners, if they want to hear more about your story, they can read A Well-Trained Wife, listen to our other episodes. But this book is, like you said, a love letter. It's actually a word that we used in our prologue as well, a love letter. Where does that come from? What do you want people to get the most from this book? Or what's the elevator pitch for this book?
Oh, I really don't have an elevator pitch, but I should. And my primary goal is hope. I want them to know that they can heal, they deserve to heal, and that there's actually a pretty measured approach you can take to radically improve your life. I don't have never ascribed to the fatalistic diagnosis that someone will always be broken or that they're just ruined now, which is a big theme in religious upbringings. And I never bought that and I never accepted that. And I felt like I had given my best effort to their formulas and their recommendations for my life. It didn't work out the way they promised. And I did not want that for my life going forward. So I hope that this book answers the question that I get in my DMs, that I have gotten in my DMs since 3 years before I even sold the book. Every time I share a shred of my story, someone relates to it and says, me too, or I understand, or I've been through something similar. And then they also ask, what can I do about it? And I felt like, talk about imposter syndrome, massive imposter syndrome, that I should be telling anybody what they can do. I don't want to be prescriptive in any way, ever, because I have just mad respect for people's personal processes and where they are in something and what they've been through. And so what I fall back on is, well, I can tell you what it was for me. And usually when I share that way, it opens a door, it opens space for others to share their experience, to take what they want and leave the rest. Was a big deal to me. Yeah, so I just hope they find hope. And one of the things that I love about I Belong to Me that we found out kind of in hindsight is that you don't have to have come from high control religion for it to apply. Any kind of high control dynamic or toxic situation that you find yourself in, these steps will help you put yourself back together afterwards. So I think it's a helpful book for anyone dealing with aftermath of shock, dealing with aftermath of traumatic experiences, and trying to rebuild a sense of self late in life, which is necessary if you've gone through any level of indoctrination.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that.
What makes I didn't read the whole book. I got about halfway through.
Libby was dealing with some family stuff.
That's okay.
It's going to still be there for years. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. I was tending to it. I wish I had the book with me. I think what makes it so compelling is that, for maybe lack of a better word, you're a slave to the story. And what makes the story and the lessons shine through is if you don't deviate from that path, people can say whatever they want. This is your life experience. The only discrepancy, the only problems you might run into or I've run into is my ability to put language to it and maybe improper words for how I described it. But if you just stay kind of a slave to what happened and you go, this is it, like people will take great stuff from it if they're not conditioned to just destroy your narrative.
Right.
And so that kind of juxtaposition always keeps me grounded, for a better way of putting it. So when I read your work, it's always like, yeah, there's not really much to dispute here.
This book I loved so much. Like, this was probably my favorite cult memoir ever, just because I love your writing so much. And I also related so much to, because we're similar ages, and I don't know, I just really resonated. So I knew that I was going to enjoy this, but I didn't know how helpful it was going to be for me. So I'm glad that you said that, because as you know, I didn't come from religious background at all.
Right.
My dad's a Christmas celebrating atheist.
You're kind of a quasi-Jew.
I'm, I was raised Jewish, but culturally Jewish, no religion. Any biblical story I ever heard was that's a cool story. I never thought, I always saw it as story and myth, not
Lucky.
Well,
yeah, I know.
you assumed it was good. That was the thing too.
Well,
I
yeah.
always assumed there was a positive message here. That's not the case.
Well, even with well-trained wife, and you tell me the stories, and wait, you believe that actually happened? And like you're gonna live your life by that? What? Like that was crazy to me.
It's historic. Yeah.
So like, even though I didn't have that upbringing, I got so much out of it. And I think that anybody, to your point, yes, getting out of high control group, but just any kind of trauma. Like, I had trauma and was a people pleaser fawner before NXIVM. Do you know what I mean? In fact, if anything, that helped me be indoctrinated into NXIVM because I wanted to please and I wanted to go up the straight path and I wanted to get the gold star, right?
Exactly.
So what was going on in my childhood? My parents, I love you, who listen to the podcast. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm not blaming you. You're amazing.
Many things can be true at one time.
Yes, exactly. Right. So like, I do think this is going to be hugely helpful to anybody who just wants to do inner work to be more grounded and happy. Is that fair to say?
It is. I hope so, because, I really think that gaze inward solves the problems that religion promises to solve as well. But religion, in my experience, especially high control systems, has perpetuated more than it has solved. I found myself very lacking. I would always turn to them for advice, solutions, mentors, wisdom, guidance. And I would try it on with so much ardent enthusiasm and promise and, people pleasing and all of the things. I'm a good person, I'm trying hard, I love, and it would not pan out. It would get the opposite result. And so psychology, not replicatable to religion. I do not ever want to replace, put an outside authority source into my being, but psychological tools have helped me look inward, identify a problem, name it properly, and then actually practically solve it and retrain myself, read my brain connections and the way that I respond in my nervous system and the things that I interact with on a day-to-day basis throughout my day that show up as the evidence of trauma or the evidence of healing. And I didn't even know I had a choice in that matter for a long time after I escaped. I just felt victimized and caught in the victimization and not able to get out. And my healing process helped me understand why I thought that and what to do about it. So why not write that down? It's a freedom
100%.
Let's take a break from the cultiverse, shall we? Here's a word from our sponsors.
The new year is here. And honestly, is it just me? Or do we all need a little at-home refresh after the holidays? Wayfair makes it super easy to elevate your space without breaking the bank. I'm talking bedding, mattresses, storage solutions for every room, even desks and chairs for the podcast recording room you are dreaming of. We've refreshed our living room with some accent pillows, a few mirrors and faux plants for way less than expected, and it actually feels like a new space. Wayfair's massive selection makes it easy to find exactly what's right for you, whether you're on a budget, hunting for a statement piece, or just trying to get organized, which for us is what 2026 is all about. We also love how Wayfair sends us suggestions of items that fit into our vibe, including gorgeous new chairs for our new YouTube studio and our podcast space. I love how these chairs were not only easy to assemble, but also so comfortable and well-made. From home decor to storage to creating a functional work or recording space, Wayfair really is your one-stop shop. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair. Every style, every home. New year, new rhythms. And if you're trying to eat a little cleaner after the holiday free-for-all, ButcherBox makes it way easier. For over a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and independently verified. It's the clean, trustworthy protein you want to be eating, especially at the start of a new year. They deliver high-quality meat you can feel good about, from filet mignon to kid-approved chicken nuggets, all held to the same seriously high standards. No separate meals, no compromises. Everything's customizable, so whether you're meal prepping, feeding picky eaters, or just trying to survive weeknights without losing your mind, ButcherBox fits your routine and your goals. They're also a certified B Corp, which means they care about how animals are raised, how workers are treated, and their environmental impact. Every box ships free, always, with recipes, tips, and exclusive deals to make healthy eating actually doable. We are so thrilled that ButcherBox is our newest sponsor, and we are so excited to try everything, especially the ribeyes and the salmon fillets. As an exclusive offer, new listeners can get their choice between organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for a year, plus $20 off when you go to butcherbox.com/ Culty. That's right, your choice of organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for an entire year. Plus $20 off your first box and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/culty. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. Happy New Year. We all know how much sleep does for our skin and for our sanity, but how much do we prioritize it? Actually unwinding at night, that is the hard part. My brain is still running tomorrow's to-do list, and my skin is suffering, especially right now in the winter. That's why I'm so excited about our newest sponsor, Osea's Dream Collection. It has become a staple in my nighttime routine, and right now, it's all about the Dream Night Serum and the Dream Night Cream, which are clinically tested, powered by bioretinol, which is essential at this age, designed to reduce the visible effects of stress while you sleep. I'm talking less dryness, less dullness, softer skin, and a noticeable boost in firmness by morning. It's like saying to your skin, I got you, I'm taking care of you. And now for 2026, I'm officially adding their newest launch, the Dream Bioretinol Body Serum, to my body routine. It's a restorative overnight treatment with bioretinol, red seaweed, magnesium, and lavender that visibly de-stresses skin, firms, smooths, and promotes that calm, ready for bed feeling. These are serious results: softer, more radiant skin by morning, and a bedtime ritual that actually helps you rest. This is body care that works while you sleep, and honestly, that's the dream. I am obsessed. Give your skin a rest. Clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code CULTY at OseaMalibu.com. This is something that I believe we should all be doing for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, getting ready for bed at night, and taking care of our skin. Enjoy.
Escape's over. Let's return to our regularly scheduled cult talk.
Now, I know we just said that this applies to everybody, but for those who do come from religious trauma or religious high control groups, talk to me about the difference between deconstruction versus deconversion.
Oh, that's a big one, because as the masses have left the church and the numbers are plummeting and redefining and reshaping, as we go through this time, the exodus has been great. I think it will continue to be great. I think this tradwife movement is going to have a knee-jerk exodus that's going to increase this number. And so the religious sources have all tried to put a step in and kind of mitigate the damage. And so they have warned that people, like, if you deconstruct, then you will deconvert, and you don't ever want to let go of Jesus. And as soon as they say that, you have a parameter to your deconstruction process, which is just the process of asking why. Why do I believe this? What creates this belief? What is the outcome and fruit of this belief? You're just analyzing the components and deciding if you agree with that or not, or if that works for you, which is very threatening to high control systems. They do not want people asking questions. So they put this big fence around it and say, it's okay if you ask questions, just make sure you hold on to Jesus. Well, as soon as you equate that to a murder investigation, if you've already decided the person's guilty from the outset, then how honest is your investigation? You already know what you're going to land at. You already know how you're going to get there. And your question is your system is going to eventually become manipulative to make sure you stay in that line. I didn't want that. I wanted open-ended curiosity. It's my biggest barrier against fundamentalist control or fundamentalist thinking in my own body, is to stay curious and to stay open and to not be threatened with the question why. So if your deconstruction is leading to a deconversion, I'm more likely to say, well, I trust you've come to that milestone or place in your life because you found the system you were deconstructing lacking, and you have desired to disengage from it, deconvert from it. It's not where you're going to stay, because we're not static beings. We are evolving organic people. And that's just one aha in a deconstruction journey. I don't know, if you can have an honest deconstruction and stay in your unit. I don't actually know survivors that reflect that back to me. It's usually just a matter of time. So I get why the pastors are nervous. It's their paycheck, which is all the more reason to deconstruct.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
We mentioned the tradwife movement last time we spoke. If I recall, I remember one of the key things we talked about is how when you wrote A Well-Trained Wife, you didn't even know how timely it was going to be. And I think Ballerina Farm was just taking off. Did you say how many followers? I haven't checked recently, but
it's
millions.
Millions, yeah.
24 million or something.
Yes.
Maybe, are you familiar with Ballerina Farm?
I have cursory knowledge of the Ballerina Farm.
Even people who are not in this cult space that we're in know what Ballerina Farm is.
Yeah.
Okay,
right?
so it's a farm of ballerinas, I gather.
If
No,
only.
Nippy, not just for Nippy, but for anyone who's new to this trad wife concept. Like,
I've
can you
seen the trad wife.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That's a
so
joke that writes itself.
Ballerina Farm
Not to
is-
be
Yeah.
to punch down,
Yeah.
but
Ballerina
Yeah.
Farm is a brand, and it is headed by a human being named Hannah Nealman, who was a ballerina and gave up her ballerina career at Juilliard to marry the heir of JetBlue and have his babies on, because he said they had to get married. She's 8 children in. She does everything from scratch. It's very lovely and
remember.
beautiful.
yeah.
And she's actually aging out now. They've replaced her prominence. I think she still has a big following, but she's less culturally provocative than younger trad wives coming up. And that's an important theme in patriarchy. She was always going to be here for a little while because we don't have old trad wives. When they age out, we replace them with fresh faces. And the theology and the ideology and the doctrine behind it all, that persists, but the players and the women are swapped out. So
And she moves to
she's
the
Mormon.
front office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she made something really beautiful, and I have a large respect for what she did and what she built, because it's not dishonest and it's just not the whole truth. Her life is beautiful. She does have beautiful children. She is committed to health and wellness. She is very family centric. The images she shows are really happening on, like, she's really feeding her children. And trad wives are smart and they're ambitious and they're savvy and they have skills and they know how to build massive lifestyle brands. I mean, why not respect that? Where the other truth comes in is that there's also ugly truths happening off screen. There's truths about large families that they're not being honest and clear about. There's a political agenda and an engine behind them. It's making a massive killing as far as money goes. And the acolytes who follow her are not making that same money. They're making all the sacrifices, but they're not having the success and the assistance and all of the help that they get with, professionals and stuff. So it's just not a whole total view. And when you're selling a lifestyle to someone, I feel like life has taught me, you really have to look at, okay, what else is true? Are there survivors from this movement? Is there religious agenda behind it? The Nealmans are Mormon. And they finally came out about that, like 3 or 4 years into the journey, when people kept asking, and they insisted it wasn't religious. And then with the new Trump administration, they said, actually, yes, we're Mormon and we believe this is for faith. So the aha wasn't really an aha to people who knew how to recognize those signs, but it was to people who believed them when they said they weren't doing this for religious reasons. So, I'm just I look for the whole truth. I want to see under the rock. I want to know, especially, are there survivors from this movement? That is key information for me. I want to hear from people who left, because in high control groups, the ones who are left are cut off. They're exiles. They're dead to them. And so they only show the new promises and the new followers and the shiny, happy parts of it, which is why the documentary was called Shiny, Happy People. It's the scoop. The real scoop is in the people who left.
Right.
Always.
And there are, did that documentary also, like, I'm imagining that had a ripple effect in that community, similarly to how the vow affected people, like that people were like, oh, wow, this is not a good thing for me to be a part of. And so they're leaving, but then they have they don't have a structure to deconstruct or to whether they could deconvert or not. They don't have anywhere to go to figure out what's going on for them. And
which is so important, right?
It's so important. Yeah. And I mean, I really hope that your book becomes that guide, because I can imagine it's just like, I mean, I know how I felt, and I wasn't raised in, like, I just had 12 years of Nexium. Your whole life is in this system. How do you find a life raft?
You kind of lose it all.
Lose it all.
But you knew other. They don't really know
at least
other.
I had somewhere to kind of go back to. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
I want to talk about the subversive hope of that. My book is, I hope it's subversive hope, because I'm going against a very dominant narrative that says when you leave a high control group, you need a sense of belonging. You are looking for a replacement group. You need to reconstruct your beliefs. I say BS on all of that. When people cult hop and they go from one cult to the next hop, or they fall into another high control dynamic, I think that points to wounds that haven't been healed in the first place. And those are origin wounds that make you look for external structures. So my turning point came when I realized I need to belong to myself, so that I'm okay in a room by myself, even if no one else agrees with me. I'm not looking to them for belonging. I don't need to change myself in order to fit in. I'm at home with myself. How do I do that? And I feel like I've heard some version of that message my whole life, but I had no idea how to apply it. And religion was in its place saying, you'll find belonging here. We'll give you belonging. Do this and you'll get that. Very transactional. And I wanted to flip the whole thing upside down. So I do hope that's what I Belong to Me does, is give people who are becoming aware of what they've been a part of. And yes, to your question, Shiny Happy People still to this day has people identifying aspects of their life that were the same and relating to it. And then like, oh, fuck, now what do I do now? I don't know where I should go. What do I do with my time? Where do I go on Sunday? What do I do about family holidays? I just disagreed with my family and now they're cutting me off. Pretty much meet with conflict very quickly when you start self-asserting.
Yeah.
So how do you find that and retain yourself in it? That's what I wanted to double down on.
Yeah, the line that you wrote that I have in my notes here is building a safe home inside of you. That's such a great objective.
One of the things about that too is it requires trial and error. You have to go into the lab a little bit, and there's no avoiding the trial and error, and the trial and error is the uncomfortable part. That's where you get instant
it's human
feedback.
Experience, though, right? Like, we're gonna try things.
So you're in a lot of ways as an adult doing things that you should have been doing in the first 15 years in a safe environment.
Yes, that's really important.
Yeah, now you're doing it out in the turmoil of the world.
Right, exactly. And late to the game, and that's another place of hope. Indoctrination replaces childhood development. That's a big theme in the book. And I know that there's a camp out there that says if you don't get that critical child development as a child, you can't make up ground. I have a feeling that neuroscience and a lot of other smarter people would say, no, your brain can remain elastic. You can retrain, you can relearn, you can certainly improve. And I decided to try it. And I know it hasn't been perfect or smooth. It's been rocky. It's been expensive. It cost me a marriage. It, completely flipped my life. But when the dust settled, I'm home. I'm here. I'm ready to go forward. I consider myself on the 120-year plan. So I've got lots ahead still. And that trauma that I've been through is not going to define my whole life. And I think that's wonderful. I want that for every traumatic survivor.
I didn't know in the fundamentalist community what it means if you get invited out for coffee.
Oh, gosh, yes. So I love that you pointed this out because it's a reclaim, but I didn't do it very overtly. So I was glad that you picked up on it. The book has these breakouts called coffee chats. And I originally, when I started writing the first draft of it, I wrote it as a letter to survivors, to a very specific survivor, which is a common piece of writing advice. Pick one reader and write this story to them. And the result is a very personal, warm telling. And then I realized, I can feel it in my body. That confusion of like, let's go for coffee is immediately triggering to some people because that invitation is going to result in a scold session. You have been found out, you have done something wrong, and they're going to first take you out for coffee to talk to you about it privately. And then I was like, I don't want my analogy here to be the thing. And then I realized, oh no, it kind of needs to be the thing because taking someone out for coffee should not trigger and activate. So how do we take that back and say, I can go for coffee with my friend and don't have to feel threatened by what they're about to tell me. And I'm under no obligation to accept it. I can just listen or set it down, and I really wanted to play with that space and say, here's an example of a very ordinary, innocent sounding thing that has been used to hurt people that we're going to take back and say, no, actually, I want this back. I want to be able to have coffee with a friend and not feel traumatized by it.
There's a lot of coffee shops around too.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Well, it's also ironic because in my space, coffee was like my way of recruiting.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, let's go for coffee. And then I could
my treat.
Yeah, my treat. Let me take you for coffee to find out what was going on for somebody.
Yeah,
and then
they're selling something.
Selling you. Yeah. So coffee needs to be reclaimed from the religious and MLM and personal development space.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's a win. The other word that had, obviously the English word that I think I texted you about this as well as I was reading is aftermath.
Yeah.
Tell us about the aftermath and what did you learn when you looked at the etymology of the word aftermath?
I love that part.
Yes. So etymology is a huge theme in this book because language was such a key for me. Knowing what words are, what experiences are when they're properly named, knowing the proper definition for things opened whole rooms for me. And aftermath is a powerful example because I didn't really understand what it meant. I would have thought it was like whatever happens after a traumatic event, That's not actually what the word means or where it comes from. The math portion of that means mowing. And so this is after something's been mown. And if you imagine a mown field, it's completely ripped up. Everything's turned upside down. The worms are exposed. Everything's exposed, which is really important because that's the ground for fertilization and healing. And it burns hot and it ignites life. And I got goosebumps again just thinking about
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Protecting your aftermath is actually very essential. It's also an essential stage of shock. So when you've gone through something shocking, and it doesn't have to be an enormous event, it can be like a daily shock, something that kind of unmoored you or pulled you off your game. If you don't give yourself time to settle, you're going to do whatever you do next from a very vulnerable, open space. There's a lot of things you wouldn't want to do in a mown field because of the muddy mess it's going to make. Same thing in life. You have to give time to settle, to heal, to come back into yourself. And so that can be like something I do a lot is a cold, dark shower and just like let my nervous system come down, or I sit on the ground and I breathe and I like remember what my spine feels like and what my body, how to come back into my body. That's for a little tiny thing. If it's a big thing like someone passing or massive news that is scaring me, into the past, it's just taking me into the past. I might need a nap. I might need to go lay under a gravity blanket. I might need to take a couple quiet days, whatever I need. But our culture is not conditioned for that. Our culture makes us get up and keep going and going. And even viewing that open rawness as an asset sometimes is because our visceral energy comes out. And I don't want my visceral energy out. I want it in my body so that I can be well. And then I can meet the needs and the challenges from a grounded place instead of a reactive place.
This episode would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Let's hear what they have to offer.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes it can feel like everyone else has their love life totally figured out, like they got some secret manual and you missed the email. Truth is, most of us are still figuring it out as we go and talking about it on our podcast. And wherever you are on that journey, therapy can really help you find your way. It can help you understand what you want, what feels heavy, and how to take some of that pressure off yourself. And let's be real. February is loud about relationships, flowers, candy, stuffed animals, and constant reminders of who's coupled up and who's not. But no matter where you are, partnered, dating, single, or just focusing on you, you're not behind. You're right on time. Therapy can help you see more clearly where you are and where you actually want to go. BetterHelp makes it easy to get started. Their therapists are fully licensed in the U.S. and follow a strict code of conduct. They do the matching work for you with a quick questionnaire, and if your first match isn't right, you can switch anytime. Whether it's individual therapy or couples work, it's a space to figure things out without judgment and start feeling a little lighter again. Sign up and get 10% off betterhelp.com/culty. That's betterhelp.com/culty. One thing I'm proud of this year is I'm still wearing my favorite pieces from 2025. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point with Quince. They're all about elevated essentials that feel effortless. That's right, effortless. Pieces designed for layering, mixing, and actually living in. Not trends you're over in 6 months. No, not me. Quince really nails the wardrobe staples with qualities that last. Think 100% organic cotton sweaters, premium denim with stretch that's comfortable all day, and those cotton cashmere blends that are perfect when the seasons in Atlanta can't make up their mind. These are the pieces you reach for on repeat. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middleman. So you're not paying for brand markup, just generally high-quality clothing, European linen, organic cotton, beautiful fabric, and thoughtful details. I just got a new pair of pants, like pants, not sweats, which are my regular go-to. It's like wearing butter around your buttocks, as Forrest Gump would put it. You want a pair? You can order some too. Ultra stretch 24/7 smart chinos, athletic tapered, of course. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/culty for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/culty to get free shipping and a 365-day returns. Quince.com/culty.
My friends, you have heard us gush about Hungry Root before, and honestly, we can't stop. As busy parents and podcasters, it's been a total game changer for saving time, cutting stress, and keeping us healthy. Hungry Root plans all of our meals for the week, fills our cart, delivers everything we need to eat well every day, tailored to our personal health goals, dietary preferences, and budget. They've got over 50,000 chef-crafted recipes every week, with many ready in 15 minutes or less, plus over 1,000 grocery items like smoothies, sweets, kids' snacks, salad kits, ready-to-eat meals, and supplements. It's so easy to find options that actually work for our whole family. Also, Hungry Root holds its food to high standards. No high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, or sketchy preservatives. Organic produce, high-quality meat and seafood, and trusted brands like Oatly and Vital Farms, Ithaca Hummus. If your New Year's resolution is to eat healthier, Hungry Root makes it easy to actually stick with that past January. I love how Hungry Root not only knows that we try to be gluten-free in our family and that I'm like pseudo keto-ish. In our last box, I got a bunch of grab-and-go high-protein snacks, hello, perimenopause, and healthy snacks for the kids that were Sarah approved. Thanks to Hungry Root, we are winning at life over here. You are going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/culty and use code culty. That's hungryroot.com/culty, code culty to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Did you skip over all the ads? We hope you didn't. Thank you to our sponsors and thank you for listening. Now, let's resume our culty combo.
When I read that part
About Aftermath?
about and how we're just kind of conditioned to keep pressing on. I think like the extreme of it, which is kind of what I grew up in, and like jock culture, it's like the term just suck it up and put some dirt on it. That term, like, and I started thinking about that. I was like, wait, you want me to keep going when I've got an open wound? Suck it up. Throw open earth with germs into an open wound and then keep pressing on. It's just, I remember thinking like, what dumb advice.
This doesn't make sense. Football's such a good analogy here because you get hit and you keep going. And
you
we just had the national championship game and that sweet little quarterback who's the Heisman guy. What's his name?
Yeah, Mendoza.
Yeah, he's so precious. But he busted his mouth in the first quarter and then they just kind of did whatever and he kept going, and then they were talking about
celebrated. It
opens him up. Like they say he's a better player after he gets hit. And I was like, I hope he doesn't internalize that message. That's not a healthy message to carry.
Let's send this book to him.
Well, I understand the merits of it, but I don't agree as an adult.
And you understand the wear and tear that takes and the limited lifetime it offers.
I love what you said about Jesus, about how he, like, if we learn anything from him in terms of like being curious and compassionate and like the things that he embodied, if somebody does find their relationship with Jesus very important, no one's trying to take that away from anyone, right? Like you can still have a relationship with Jesus and do this work. And actually it could be in line with Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of found that. I am deeply spiritually private as a result of this journey. And I explain that in the book, but it's not about your faith and it's not about Jesus himself. And I would never take anyone's precious relationship from them. When people fall in love with Jesus and they really ardently have that deep belief and it's sincere, that's a good thing. I want them to sincerely follow somebody's beautiful example. But please separate that from the system that America has made him. It's not the same thing. And it doesn't take very much question and answer time to figure out that Christian nationalism is not Jesus. Deconstruction will not take Jesus. Self-awareness and self-growth and becoming the best that you can be is actually glorifying to a maker, to a divine. So yeah, I say that in the book. This is not about your faith.
I totally agree. And my mantra with Sarah is like, I think people's religious beliefs is personal.
It should be.
Let's make it personal. It's like your sexuality and like I don't need to know all those things.
The color of your underwear. I think we've been over this a lot, because I say this on every single interview. I'm spiritually private because I needed privacy. And also fluid beliefs need a chance to change. As soon as you name something, you box it.
Totally.
And I don't want to be in any more boxes. I don't want to be labeled with a word that's changing shape in the modern age. The word Christian does not mean what it meant when I was a child even. So
absolutely
I don't necessarily want labels placed on me. And I like being able to explore and ask questions of divine mystery quietly to myself without having to make it the internet's business.
That was actually one of my notes. Rigid boxes that don't fit the fluidity of the spirit, hence privacy.
Yeah. Well, and the Holy Spirit, for the Jesus followers that are listening, the Holy Spirit is a ghost. It is movement. It is fluid. Sophia is wisdom. So if you want movement, if you want room to grow, if you want room to feel in space and emote and all of the things, you have to create room for that, which means you're taking those boxes down.
Mm-hmm. That's scary for some people, I can imagine.
It's terrifying. And I also say lean into that terror because it's like good fear. You know this as a writer. It's that creative fear of like when it's a good fear. It's like an anxiety that's like, oh, I know this is good. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm scared and it's unknown, but I'm making something here. I'm doing something active and I'm going to go with it, even though I don't know the outcome. I'm safe enough to ask this question or to do this thing or to write this down. I love creative fear.
So how does that relate to investigating the crime scene?
I love hearing the nuggets that you pulled. This is exciting for me. So crime scene, the metaphor of a crime scene is how I did my interrogation process in order to identify what happened to me. So some readers may find like this metaphor a little hokey, but it's actually what I did and what I still do when I have the evidence of a crime in my life, which to me is trauma. If I have like say I have a big reaction to something and I don't know why I overreacted. That's evidence of something, there's something there and I don't know where to start. So mapping a crime scene, going through the interrogation steps, going through all of the process that they do where they document and they ask questions and they look for witnesses and they see what signs are there, helped me identify very major traumas like sexual assault that I kind of blew past and disassociated from so much that I didn't even know had been assault. Writing it down on the page helped me identify that. So all I need to go on is evidence. All I need is something's off, and I'm going to retrace the steps and solve the mystery in my own life, because we just don't carry in conscious memory everything that happened to us or led to the thing that happened to us. That was another aspect of that. So like sometimes I had the big moments where I knew like, oh yeah, I got spanked in my marriage, or like a child as a disciplinary measure, or I was raped on my wedding night. Like I had these big markers, but I didn't have all the little supporting scenes that formed that journey or led me to that path. Crime scene analysis is what helped me get there, because marital rape is a crime. Okay, why would I marry somebody who would do that? Why would I marry this person? We already had abuse in our dating life. Oh, this is why, so then I'm retracing the steps back to how I was groomed and formed to accept somebody who had red flags.
Yeah, there were small compromises along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another chapter that I'm not going to say it was triggering, because the triggering is not the right word, but it was ironic because you talk about blame and responsibility and the question that you ask yourself in a situation. I'm jumping a little bit ahead in the book, but tell me if this is okay. Where you say, what was my part in a situation, as opposed to just like blaming whoever is maybe causing the thing that you're dealing with. That was the module in Nexium that I still use. And it was probably one of the most pivotal, was called Blame and Responsibility. And also for you too, right?
Yeah, it was a great one. It's practical.
It's very practical. Like going from this happened to me to finding your part in it, which was really helpful, but then later got used against us if somebody was abusing you and that was like, well, what was your part in it? Like,
right.
Flipping the script, right? Which is not obviously healthy. How do you find the line between, taking responsibility versus taking too much responsibility, I guess is my question.
I think this is, in a larger scale, another area of reclamation. So a lot of groups, probably every cult you talk to, takes some element of something that's true and useful and uses that as a gateway to however they're going to twist and manipulate with it later. And so this is a good example where I did not want to focus on who to blame, even though I knew who to blame. I knew that I was not responsible for all of this that had happened, and this had been part of a system. But I was focused on what I can do because I was focused on the serenity prayer. I wanted to know what I had the ability to change or do. That wasn't saying they aren't to blame. That was saying, I see that we are co-participants in what happened, because my presence a lot of times is what allows something to happen. Is where I was in my life, was realizing that I can stop this by leaving. I can stop being in their proximity. There's things that I can do to make this not continue. And that was really hard and took a psychological integrity that I hadn't had to that point. It was much easier for me to just, shovel all the blame onto who was really to blame. Like they really did have more power in the equation, but I wasn't completely powerless. And I was in this process of identifying where my power was. And then the third step of that was realizing that technique, that whole process, just because they take it and twist it and weaponize it against me does not mean it's a bad question to ask myself. It's still important. It's just not where I'm going to end. And I'm not going to ever put that power in their hands to weaponize against me again. I can take ownership for my part, and then that's all I have to do. There's no and after that. Like, that is not for me. That system is not for me. I will no longer participate. It's kind of the end of the story.
That's really well put. I'll run this by you because I think there's something I've always kind of mapped out in my mind in terms of how it was used and the way we used it. And there was a particular curriculum that we had in the men's organization about how you authored something. And there's a series of questions about how you might set something up. And one of the examples was if like I'm at a party, I forget my keys and I have to get home. I can blame the person I came with for not bringing the keys. I'm late because of traffic. I hand my responsibility off to circumstance, traffic. There's things I could have done to foresee traffic. When I get to the party, I hand my responsibility off to my friend who has my keys. And I make that person my master, that sort of thing. So there's all these little things that can get you to take more and more responsibility. And I remember this happened a lot in this men's curriculum, which is why I'm bringing it up. There's always a circumstance. In every training that we gave, there was always someone who was cheated on. They didn't feel like they were responsible for it. And one of the questions that we would ask is, what did you do to put this person in a position where they felt like the only option they had was to cheat on you? And it felt like it was harsh to ask. And every time the guy would go, yeah, I was a dick to her. Or, yeah, I was. They would cough something up that was kind of related to why someone might. Now, that didn't abnegate the person from their behavior, but it was such a hard thing for them to admit to every time across the board, to your point where they had to have a psychological integrity that they weren't willing to have until that point. And there was a release that they would go, yeah.
It was their part of it.
It was their part in it. But also, I felt like sometimes they might have the tendency to dismiss the abuser and it protected the perpetrator of like someone who actually cheated on. There's other things that could happen where the person didn't have to cheat.
Right.
And I felt like sometimes it was like, it's not binary at this point. Sure, You may have been a dick. And I felt like sometimes I was helping people, but sometimes I was like, are we letting an abuser off the hook?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that line is always
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also, I don't have the intel there. I don't know. Was he? Like, I don't, and did I just get someone to own to something that might not be forensically accurate? Like, I always was like, and I felt like I had enough objectivity, but I didn't have enough intel. So I couldn't gauge whether I helped the person or not. So
it feels like a false connection to me, and there's probably a fallacy in there. So getting somebody to understand the role that they played in a dysfunctional relationship is not the same thing as getting someone to say, well, the role I played in my dysfunctional relationship deserved betrayal.
Right. Exactly.
That's not fair.
That's it.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's no. Like, sure, I participated in my system. I participated in the dynamic in my marriage, but did I deserve to be punched in the head, and sat on? No. Like, that doesn't. And so understanding where those lines
that was my fear. Did I?
Yeah.
Did I do? Yeah.
Well, I think what you're saying, Tia, is it doesn't cause it relates to it because it's an ecosystem. It's a dynamic.
I've been learning about correlation and causation are not the same thing. I think I knew it and I needed to be reminded of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like if that guy was a dick and his wife cheated, it's like, okay, both
can be true.
Both can be, but like, what can he learn let's say they break up, what can he learn and bring to his next relationship? Like that's how I always saw the conversation is, what can I learn from this?
He could learn to be a better partner. Hopefully his takeaway was not, unless I'm perfect, she's going to cheat on me. And I think that's actually what happens is people take their wound into their next relationship with fear and they haven't really learned what their role was and they haven't really learned to change their pattern. They've just carried with them a narrative that's not helpful, that unless I'm just right, someone's going to cheat on me and leave me. And then when you get that fear of abandonment in there, I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing, I'm spitballing in that from what I've learned from experience. But that resonates in my body at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Nip, just about how some of those questions in a lot of these groups can be helpful and then also hurtful. And also just like, we weren't therapists. Like we were digging around in people's psyches about their worst decisions and the worst moments of their life. Like, so that's what, all these large group awareness trainings, which become very religious, are so dangerous, which reminds me of the last point I'm going to make before we take a break and come back for part 2 is on Thursday is the other nugget I have here is from Amazing Grace. I once was lost and now I'm found. And I think that for somebody who, again, wasn't raised religious, first of all, I love that song. And that song with bagpipes, tears, instantly,
right? It's a classic for
a reason. It's a classic.
It's a banger.
But it's a banger, basically. but it's also like metaphorically, once was lost, but now I'm found. That's what the church offers. And that's what NXIVM offers. It's like, we're all lost and we're going to give you a template so that you feel found, whether that's belonging or the answers. It's all the same stuff.
Right.
Ultimately, right?
Here in this external place, this is where you come to feel belonging. Yeah,
exactly. You wrote that you homeschooled, you homesteaded, you home birthed, and then you're talking about the importance of finding the home, the safe home inside of you. Did you make that correlation before?
No, except that as always what I was questing towards. I wanted more than anything to have a solid, reliable structure of a home, loving nest for my kids. It was very home focused, and yet I wasn't home in Tia.
Yeah. I think that's just such a beautiful full circle ironic use of the word, because I'm sure you know, like in dreams, when you have a dream about your home or your house, it's yourself.
No,
right?
I didn't know that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. If you ever, like, I have a lot of dreams where like I'm trying to get home and I can't get home. I'm in like England. I'm going to miss my flight and my stuff's at the hotel or something. Yeah. Trying to get back to your home.
Actually happens.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. Your home represents yourself in dream analysis, apparently.
Wow.
And yeah. So you were homeschooled, homesteaded, home birthed, and just trying to get home.
Yeah, just trying to get there.
Just trying to get there. I'm going to leave you with that. Take a little break. So we're going to come back next time for part 2 with Tia Levings. And in part 2, we are going to get into some of the practical things, not the whole book, because obviously we want people to read the book, but some of the tools that really stood out to us or things that you might want to share that we can leave our listeners with.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Retherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Lesli Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Nomoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.